Let's just try. Because
Okay.
I feel like we've had a little bit of like a chill ep, and we could do a spicy one.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Dan.
Hi there.
What would you like to talk about today?
Yo, so I've been hearing the arguments that you guys have been making about why women should be more, I guess, liberated, and that's fine. But so far, it's gotten out of hand, and we're ending up with single mothers. Women that are lonely, bitter.
And
yeah.
sorry, just to be clear, if there's a single mother, that's because she spawned a baby out of nowhere and a man had nothing to do with that, and then she chose to just have a baby on her own most of the time.
Well, yeah, she chose badly, and if she had followed the Bible,
she chose badly. She chose
Mhm.
badly, and that's not. So we're blaming the bad behavior of the man on the woman and not on the man.
Well, the woman should have had, better sense and chosen properly. Had she been a religious woman,
the man should not be held responsible for his actions there.
Well, men that do this are usually trash men that go around impregnating women. So women like chasing the top level of men, and then they get pregnant and cry about it. So.
Wait, so then again,
Dan,
man, wait, Dan, women are chasing the top echelon of men, and these top echelon of men are also so shitty that they're leaving these women single women, and that's also the women's fault, but this is also the top echelon of men. So who else are these women supposed to go after if this is the top echelon of men? How are they supposed to choose better?
Hardworking men. The humble, hardworking men.
And I'm supposed to believe. You worded these people as the upper echelon. So why would I not believe that they would? Why would I believe that they're a bad choice?
Because usually upper echelon men, when they get free things thrown at them, for example, right, like women, they're gonna take advantage of it and then toss.
So those are not upper echelon. That's not an upper echelon human being, as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't describe them that way.
I mean, you still choose them, though, right? I mean, how many men have you been with, right?
Not your business. And also, I wouldn't
Dan, I want
to rank them.
Are you ashamed? Are you ashamed?
I want to ask.
No,
Dan,
it's just not your business, you weirdo.
I'm already so close to dropping the phone call, but I just want to ask you a question. Do you consider yourself to be a man that women should want to be with?
Absolutely, yes.
Cool. Can you tell me why? Because based off of how you've treated us in this phone call, I think you're a piece of shit.
Well, I'm a hardworking guy, right? I'm loyal, right? I don't go around cheating, using women like the guys that you like going after that use women and cheat on them, and then they cry about it later on. I'm a theist. I follow the Bible, which teaches me morals. Unlike secular people, so that's why.
Cool. Let me tell you a few things real quick. What I look for in a man and what I found in my husband is absolutely loyalty, because we had a whole conversation about that. It means a very specific thing to us. I look for somebody that is hardworking and ambitious, because I am also hardworking and ambitious, and I need him to be doing his thing while I'm doing my thing, which is what's happening right now. I also look for somebody that is respectful and kind and caring and wants to have good conversation and treats me like an equal. And you haven't shown any of that in this conversation. You've shown your ass, and that's it.
Okay. Well, I mean, before you found this man, I mean, how old are you now? Like 40? Or what's your age, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 57.
57? Really?
Yep.
Okay, well,
yep.
I mean, how long did it take you to find this man, first of all?
I found him when I was 5 years old. We've been together since then.
Look, I don't know. Do you have a Christian family? I think I recall you have a Christian family. This is promise.
My
correct?
family are Scientologists.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't know about that. So regardless, if you did find a man and you kept yourself for him, then yeah, I mean, I apologize to you. But if you did not, and you just, ran around, meeting man after man, then that's the problem that's why I'm here.
Are you changing the topic, Dan? Because we were talking about why someone would ever want to be with you. And you've far
I don't
completely failed. You've completely failed to deliver. And so I'm going to stick with the way that I live my life because it's brought me an incredible relationship with a really amazing human to where I never have to have conversations like this, other than when I'm getting paid to do it, like right now.
Dan,
Right.
I also would like to run something by you. There's evidence to show that people who have multiple partners are more likely to have healthier, more satisfying long-term relationships versus people who have one. So that,
Really?
yes. So that would
So,
sort
like,
of undo your whole theory.
Wait, so who ran these tests? Was it some like biased group that just wanted to prove that?
I think it was your mom, actually.
No, it was there. This has been proven a handful of times, or hasn't been proven because human beings are complex, so it's hard to prove something like that. But it has been a theory that has been explored many times. So it's very hard for us to draw a direct line because everybody's experience is going to be really different. But there is no evidence to show that people who have one single partner or two partners their whole lives have happy, successful relationships. And there are people who actually have relationships that show the contrary. So I don't really know why you think that your way is the only way.
Yes, because I don't like my women used, for example. That's the problem,
Okay, so that's okay. So that's kind of what I thought was happening.
Can I tell you what is happening here? Dan doesn't know how to please women, and he's concerned that if he gets with a woman who knows what pleasure is like because she's figured out her body and what she wants, then they're going to reject him. That's what's going on.
No, thank you. I don't want that. That's the thing. I don't want that. Like, I don't want a woman that already has experience, like, with other men. That's disgusting.
Exactly. Thank you.
Why
thank you for announcing
Dan,
it.
Why is that disgusting? Why would that be disgusting, but it would not be disgusting for a man to have sex with several people?
Well, I didn't say that, so I do disagree that men should not also be promiscuous. But, it's women who hold the lock and the man, the key or the lock, whatever that analogy is. So
you should probably know what you're talking about if you're going to say shit.
Well,
Dan,
also, you know what I'm saying.
Dan, that analogy is so offensive because I am not a key or a lock, and neither are you. I'm a human being, and
he might be
a woman's vagina does not change based on the amount of partners that they have. That is a scientific fact. The hymen does not break. So there is no biological way to determine whether someone is a virgin or not. That is made up by purity culture to control women's choices. That's not real.
I'm just saying that,
and I'm telling you from a scientific...
Right. What happened? What was that?
From a scientific standpoint, there is no difference between a person who has had sex with multiple partners and a person who has not. So your judgment of these people is purely that. It's judgment. And that's one thing that Christians are not supposed to do, is judge others. That's like Jesus's main message, is not to judge other people. And still you insist on doing that.
So we just let them do whatever they want, even if it harms society.
Yes, you let them do whatever they want.
Yes, you let other humans do what they want to do. That's exactly right, Dan.
That's impossible.
Why?
So
if you're not hurting anybody else.
Alyssa and I are doing what we want to do, despite how much that bothers you.
That's fine. I mean, your life is being harmed, and you're harming people around you, and that's your choice.
No, I have a really great life, and I'm not harming people.
Who am I harming?
Well, how many hearts have you broken? How many children have you aborted? There's lots of things there, so.
Never aborted a child. People break hearts whether they have sex or not.
Still, that's a problem. You're
what are
harming
you
your
talking
fellow
about?
human beings. I mean, you may not be, but you're advocating for other women to do the same. So maybe you haven't done it, but many other women have.
I'm advocating for people to make whatever choice that they would like to make.
Right.
And you are advocating for controlling other people's choices.
Right. Because we do need control. Humans do need to have some sort of laws and order. Oh, no?
We
should be free to do whatever we please.
Not in our sexuality do we need control.
Well, if you can't control one aspect of humanity, then what makes you think that others, why control anything at all if we can't just
So Dan, then let's go down the route. Do you think that people harm others with their words? That we can hurt each other's feelings based off of words? Do you think that's a thing that's real?
Of course.
Cool. Then we should ban you from ever calling here based off of the way you talk because you sound like an ass. So if we're going to go with that train of thought, if we're just going to control other people because we don't like what they do, then why wouldn't we start with something that impacts everyone all the time, like words? Why are we not banning people's words? Because we believe in freedom and we want people to have autonomy over what they communicate and what they do. If you start harming somebody, there are consequences, either natural ones or ones from law. If you go and you rape somebody, then the law is supposed to follow up and prevent that from happening. But we have laws in place for the harm. We have laws in place for the harm caused by sex acts. There is no harm being caused in consensual moments between adults.
Yes,
and people getting their hearts broken.
Dan,
people getting their hearts broken and people getting their feelings hurt, or people like you getting your ego shattered because you didn't get the woman you wanted, does not mean that you get to legislate other people's bodies and what they can and can't do with them.
Wait,
Dan, you want to know some? Do you want to know some? Dan, you want to know something that I think is going to break your brain and you're going to hate it? I think that a person who has sex with a new person every single day, a person who has orgies every weekend, and would never pass a judgment on anyone else and is clear and consensual every time they do those activities is an infinitely better person than I think that you are. Because you think that it is more important to judge everyone else. I knew I was going to make him upset. He couldn't even hear the whole thing. Oh, dang. That's sad. Well,
what an unpleasant person.
Back to the incel forum, I suppose.
That's how when it comes to the argument about not to get you in trouble again, but about being nice to men, this is when I don't think that is required at all. And we've had these conversations with callers like this where we entertain the conversation and we take them seriously. Obviously, I wasn't taking him seriously. Obviously, I gave him fake answers for stuff because that's how serious he's being. Saying the dumbest shit I've ever heard. I'm going to say dumb shit back to you because that's what you get. If you don't treat me like an equal human being, then I am not going to engage honestly with you at all. It's just so
that
gross.
Was crazy. It also, again, it always cracks me up that it's always people who want to be Christian and then pass all of the judgment in the world. It's just so comical at this point. It's the same way that when we get comments on our Instagram that are you whore, and then you check their bio and it's John 3:16. I'm of course, literally
the worst people.
It's always, it's I would love for them to prove me wrong and they just don't. And we were nice for a really long time. I was super nice for a really long time.
You look more so than I was.
You look great for 57.
Thank you. I love that one. That's usually my go-to, as I'll just answer some wildly different answer for that because they think it's an insult to say that I'm in my 40s, which I can't wait to be in my 40s. Hitting my 30s is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Also, then the question of why did it take, like, you're in your 40s, why did it take you so long to find your husband? Well, he was living in Finland and I was living in Atlanta. So we can start there. He didn't even live in this country. That's just ridiculous. And boys like that, they are upset that they don't get to control their own life. They feel powerless in their own life. They feel insecure. And instead of self-reflecting, or instead of getting frustrated with the systems in society that you and I are also frustrated with, they have to hate women because whatever issues they have internally, that's the only way they know how to handle them. And it's sad. It's also scary because that's just the tip of the iceberg, is whatever we heard from him about what he thinks. I don't know how that plays out in his personal life. I can't imagine that it's good for any woman that ever crosses his path.
Yeah, I'm sure it's bad. He is exactly the kind of person that if I were to interact with him in a public place, I would hold my glass like this.
I would hold mine upside down over his head.
Right. And like, to be so honest, I wanted to keep him on the call because I wanted the clip from him, and I will be making the clip, and I will be really thrilled for all of the monetization of that clip. So thank you for making me more money, Dan, by being a literal loser. And I hope that one day you get laid. It won't be anytime soon, not with that fucking attitude. Yeah, best of luck with your endeavors, dude. I'm sure it's going really well for you. Anyway.